Jumping in with some board gaming what if. I've been rearranging my collection, shuffling things around. And I kind of have three groups of board games. The first group are games that literally kind of sit in a box on the floor or in a nicely arranged pile over on the side. These are games that I'm playing every month. Just makes no sense to go on the gaming shelf because they're in constant rotation, either solo play or with friends. Then there's a second group of games in front of me that I really love, I really enjoy, but kind of the stars have to align to make this happen. Games like Kingdom Death Monster, Twilight and Imperium. Like I'm excited to play TI again. We're trying to get together a group, but that's like 8 hours. That's like a day, and it's an amazing space opera. But that's not something that you just bring to the club and play necessarily. Descent First Edition, and then the third group of games are games that I enjoy and I play, but from time to time. Every couple of months, or certain titles that has to kind of hit me correctly, so they're up on the shelf and they kind of look nice from that perspective. But I noticed, given the titles in my collection, which I would say are definitely non-Euro, although I have Settlers and I have a few from that perspective. Rules. Some are very, very light with rules, and they work. Zombicide, Invader, Black Plague, roll some dice, flip some cards, move some zombies. Some are kind of easy rules, but a little bit of complexity, something like Dark Souls. And then other games are a little bit more complex with their rules. Kingdom Death Monster, Twilight Imperium. And then a few are really rules heavy. I think the most modern incarnation of that would be Mage Knight. Fantastic experience, amazing solo game. Playing it with some friends, a little bit slow, but you can have a really rich experience there. Fantastic. Still not 100% sure I'm playing Mage Knight correctly after all these years, but I probably have it 90% down. An amazing experience, but it's dense. And I lead this into today's board gaming question. What is the most complex board game in your collection? Or if we're kind of look at the history of modern board games when they started to kind of break away from war games, this idea, what's the most complex game out there? And does it do it justice? Does it work? Is it complexity for complexity's sake, or is it trying, pass or fail, succeed, yes or no, to create something special, utilizing the complexity of those rules? Now, Twilight Imperium is certainly complex, but I find that title in my collection is the type of game that once you learn the flow, because there's a lot of different phases, there's a lot of different ways to potentially win, it's more about grasping the flow of it as opposed to like all these little exceptions to the rules. You get a couple of plays, you figure it out, you're okay. Mage Knight, I have to say, I jumped into Mage Knight. I didn't have any other board gaming friends that played it. So it was essentially YouTube to play it. It was essentially watching YouTube. And I think YouTube helps tremendously. And I was actually able to connect with a YouTuber, and they were making some content for Mage Knight. And I was like, hey, you want to do like a Mage Knight collaboration where I'd love to watch you play a couple of turns of Mage Knight and ask some questions or have it explained, and we can kind of go back and forth. I think that would be a tremendous resource because it's a great game, but you try and figure it out and you're like, okay, I think I'm playing it right. So from that perspective, the complexity of Mage Knight is helped with tutorials and YouTube. And of course, board games in general, trying to figure out how to play it, but also would I enjoy this title? Would I add this title to my collection? But I have to say the most complex board game in my collection, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys. And this might not be a completely fair entry because it's definitely out of print. I don't know, Restoration Games, we got Dark Tower, we got Fireball Island, we've got other things. Maybe, if there would be a market, Magic Realm. Still thinking Mage Knight. I think I'm playing it right. Magic Realm is Magic Realm. It's absolutely fantastic. It is one of the closest things to a old school Dungeons and Dragons experience that I have played. But setup time, 40 minutes. Playtime, forever. planning phase where you figure out what you're going to do and resolve it could take a while, you thinking. But that experience is absolutely beyond fantastic. The biggest thing I'd say that I learned with Magic Realm, and I don't even know if I'm necessarily playing it correctly. Mostly I played it solo. We played it with some friends. Magic Realm almost demands this little miniature tabletopper for it. I have a table. It's actually just a board. It has a little frame around it. It's got some felt. Magic Realm is the type of game like you set up and it needs to stay set up and you need to play it from that perspective. And if you're playing it with a group and you can't finish it, I just lift that board up. We put it high on the back shelf. So this way the cats and the friends and everybody else can't get to it. They don't even know it's there. And then we pull it back down. But the rules are so complex with what it offers and what it does. But it works. But it works with what it adds. But that's a game that just, it really takes that commitment. And I'm still working on that commitment. Absolutely. Turning it over to your collections. Modern games, current games. Mage Knight, TI. Mage Knight more than TI, but overall in my collection, Magic Realm. And something like Magic Realm, or I should say to finish this out, what is the most complicated and complex board game, modern board game that exists in terms of rules, complexity, and delivery?